Hey guys, how you going? Welcome back to another video. This video today is going to be on cycling aquariums. I guess it can be applied to freshwater or saltwater, but it's going to be on cycling aquariums because obviously all these tanks have been recently cycled, and I've had lots of questions from students about how to cycle their tanks at home and how it all works. So today I'm going to kind of run you through the main parts of the nitrogen cycle, as well as some other helpful hints and tips and things like that about how long it should take and those type of things. So yeah, tune in. This one's going to be a good one. Okay, so you're cycling a fish tank and preparing for fish. So what is the nitrogen cycle? Now the nitrogen cycle is a natural biological process that pretty much detoxifies waste in the aquarium that is usually generated from the fish. The waste is usually ammonia, so it's from fish waste as well as broken down fish food, broken down fish plants that are in the aquarium and things like that. And the bacteria that detoxifies this ammonia, it lives in your filter media, like bio balls and things like that, or bio noodles. It also lives in the gravel on the surface of your ornaments as well. Okay, it lives in plant roots and all the rest of it. So it's very, very important to establish. The main cause and the problem of not doing this correctly when cycling is that the ammonia hasn't had a chance to detoxify into nitrate. So the ammonia cycle goes from ammonia into nitrite into nitrate. Now that whole process can take a while when establishing a new tank. 2 to 6 weeks is a full cycle to ensure that all of the ammonia produced is broken down into nitrite and then into nitrate. So ammonia is toxic to fish and it needs to be removed. So bottled bacteria or nitrifying bacteria actually start to break down the ammonia into nitrite. When that nitrite is produced, there's another bacteria that breaks down the nitrite into nitrate. Now the nitrate is the part that we can remove manually through water changes, or if we have live plants in there to help remove it that way. So if we can get the ammonia out of the tank or being converted quickly into nitrate through the nitrogen cycle, quickly, then we can just remove it through water changes and other forms of filtration that you might have in the tank. These are hang on the back filters, but there's other ones like canister filters and other things that will help pull that nitrate out quicker or will aid in that process. Okay, when you're cycling a new fish tank, it is recommended not to put in fish straight away. A lot of people go to the fish shop, they get their aquarium, they set it all up, put the water, heater, filter, everything, get it running and just start it straight like that. Adding fish straight away is not going to work out. Now the ammonia that's produced by the fish and from the food that's breaking down that's not eaten will immediately start to affect the fish. It can obviously kill the fish when it starts to rise a bit. We're talking like above 0.25, 0.5 parts per million ammonia in the tank. So it's recommended not to use fish. It's to cycle naturally with bottled bacteria. Now, as I said before, this process can take 2 to 6 weeks, depending on how it's done, depending on the actual tank, but there is ways to speed it up. So, adding filter media into the back of the filter that's already been, established with good bacteria from an existing tank. So for these tanks here, I actually got the bio noodles and I placed them in the tank for a couple of weeks, maybe even months, in an established tank for it to build up the bacteria. When these were set up, I then added them to the back of all of the filters to speed up the cycle as well. Now the product I used to start the cycle as well, I will show you in a sec. Now there's plenty of these that exist. This is the quantum water stabilizer, so it cycles and establishes biological filter. This is added on the first day, 1 cap per 100 litres, and you do it daily for 7 days. Obviously, this works quite quick, but it's important as well that each product is different, so you've got to suss them out. There's plenty of commercial products out there with live nitrifying bacteria, which can cut down your cycling time. That's one of the products, but I'll put a whole picture of some others that exist here. They're not cheap, but they do speed up the cycle, which means you can get fish quicker. All right, I expect that these tanks in here will take 2, maybe 3 weeks to cycle with the pre-media that I've moved across from an established tank, as well as this bottled bacteria product. Okay, when testing for the water, now we need to make sure that the ammonia and nitrite is at 0 and nitrate is present in the tank. And when we add more ammonia, it gets transferred quite quickly. Now, if there's ammonia in the tank and nitrite, it is not ready for fish. So, ensuring that you are testing the water throughout the cycle is very important. Now, this is an API freshwater master test kit. Now, they do exist in saltwater and there's a whole different variety, but these are an all-in-one kit that I like. They test ammonia, they test nitrite, and they test nitrate, as well as pH and high range pH. And these are really handy because they're all in one, they're pretty cheap for what they are. Or alternatively, you can take your water to your fish shop or your local fish shop to be tested. Now, when you're testing these, say you do it weekly during the cycle, you want that ammonia to peak, that ammonia to come down, the nitrite to go up and to come down, and then nitrate at the end to start to rise. By the end of the cycle, you will have 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and you will have somewhere between 5 and 40 maybe ppm of nitrates. It's important to make sure you've got that little nitrate. Now, if that cycle has taken 6 weeks, which it does sometimes with some tanks, that is fine. You will be fishless for those 6 weeks. When that 6 weeks is finished, do a bit of a water change, and you can then add fish, okay? Ensuring that that ammonia is converted quite quickly. There's heaps of problems that exist with the disrupting the cycle. Now, if you're cycling the tank and you're pulling out the filter and pulling out the biomedia and rinsing them all off, you are rinsing away all of the beneficial bacteria. If you're removing it, the cycle stops. It's not going to work well. So it's encouraged not to clean the tank throughout those 6 weeks. Don't do big water changes, don't clean the filters, don't take out the biomedia. Now, you also want it to be quite stable in terms of pH. So if you're testing this kit as well, you can test for pH. If you've got big swings in pH, that's also another issue that might slow down the process of the cycle. After the tank is cycled, you need to add fish slowly. If you are loading them all in at once, there's too many fish producing too much waste, there's too much excess food, and the tank won't be able to keep up with the bio load. Okay, the bacteria won't be able to effectively make the water less toxic or the waste less toxic over time. So it needs to be done slowly, adding a couple of fish, seeing how they go. Next week, add a couple more. Next week, skip a week, add another fish as you go. So be careful when cycling. Don't overclean your filters, don't change your water. Watch out for the sudden pH swings. If it's going up and down all over the place, it's going to slow it down. Don't add too many fish when it's finished, or adding the fish while the nitrogen cycle is going. And then probably the last one is make sure you put water conditioner in the water that you add. So untreated water, if you just put it in the tank straight out of the sink or the tap, it's most likely also not going to cycle quickly, and to tell you the truth, when you add fish, it will probably kill them off as well. So use water conditioner. Heaps of products as well that are on the market, but yeah, water conditioner, that's what you want.
All right, the one thing I did mention just then when I was recording that was that the saltwater tank and the freshwater tank cycle is hypothetically the same type of chemistry. Now, there are some key differences in there, but the same process of ammonia to nitrite to nitrate is the same across saltwater and freshwater cycles. Now, saltwater tanks do take longer to cycle, so expect it 4 to 8 weeks, sometimes even longer, depending on, once again, the process you're using, the biological filtration you have, etc. But there is a difference there. Saltwater is a lot more difficult, but I can go into more detail if you'd like to in another video, but I'm just leaving it basically as an overview of freshwater and saltwater. All right, thanks guys for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Lots of information there, but hopefully I'll put some infographics and some pictures and stuff that'll help you kind of the understanding of it. But it's quite a simple process if you just break it down into its steps, and if you do it right, you can cycle your tanks quickly and get fish as soon as possible. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any video requests, please drop them in the comments. The other thing is Barramundi tank right there. The vote was with my classes is that the name of the Barramundi is now Bart. So we've got Bart the Barramundi. So thank you for putting your comments down the bottom. Thanks, guys.